Sounds of ECLA deep dives into the business worlds of our members and partners.
What is the growth direction of your business? Where's the areas you want to focus on?
We learn about the challenges you've never heard of.
Sometimes work is going to need more of your time. And if you want to be successful, you have to be willing to do that.
The skills and habits that are the backbone of their businesses.
Life comes in seasons, just like the year comes in seasons. Some seasons will be really tough.
And the feedback and advice that set them up for success.
Being able to separate yourself from feedback and know that it's not personal and take it constructively, then you can only ever better the product that you've built.
This is the Sounds of ECLA. Welcome to the Sounds of ECLA. Maxi here again. I'm joined by Loz.
Hello, welcome.
Lozzie, today we're joined by someone who's building a real name for herself, not only in the digital marketing space as founder and creative director of Milkshake Creative. We're going to talk about that, but also a new, side hustle, new job coming in. She can tell us a little bit. She can't tell all of it yet because there's a little bit of secrecy around it, but Wayfarer Mobility and assistive technology startup for mobility aids. Gives me great pleasure to welcome Samantha Freidin.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you so much.
Tell us a little bit about, let's start with Milkshake for a start. Why did you start Milkshake Creative?
So Milkshake is the result of a very loving ultimatum. I had a bit of an idea bouncing around in my head for a really long time, but I was working at another agency and I got made redundant, and my boyfriend, who is now my fiance, told me that if I didn't try my own thing, he would divorce me. So very loving ultimatum, which I'm very lucky to have the support, because I know starting your own business is like a real privilege. It's not something I take for granted at all. The idea behind Milkshake comes from, so I have a background in science, and I always thought it was a really useless degree. And I had a couple of clients, like through my agency time, had a couple of clients say they really liked my test and learn approach. And I'm like, oh, that sounds like the scientific method.
Yeah.
And we use analytics and data really strongly in performance marketing. You put ads up, money in, money out. You know, we can look at return on ad spend, things like that. But when it comes to creative and building brands, there's a lot of experts. It's very rare that someone's actually bringing like a scientific lens to that. So that's what Milkshake is. The name comes from a Harvard study on McDonald's milkshake sales in the 50s. And the whole idea is that, yes, it's an agency, but it's also a living, breathing portfolio. So we are building this brand like we would, like with the same dedication that we'd build the brand of any of our clients.
And what about Wayfarer? Talk
Yes.
to us about that, and it's obviously very personal to you. So talk to us about the story behind it and why you wanted to create it.
Yeah. So about just over a year ago, I found myself in the pretty yucky position of getting a diagnosis of something that we'd been trying to figure out for a couple of years, and it had started to kind of steal my mobility. And I had to have the experience of coming to terms with the fact that, oh my God, this is happening, like at the ripe old age of 27, but also then going to find the least offensive mobility aid option out there. And the process when you buy a mobility aid is that you do all your research, you go, they're all ugly, and you end up going into a mobility aid store where you have a very, very small selection and you're standing across from like chairlifts and commodes and wheelchairs, and it makes you feel unwell. Yeah. And when it comes to the actual options of what you can buy, this is absolutely bizarre to me, but there's three like aesthetics. Yep. You've got hospital corridor chic, robotic, or I named it toddler glam, like super bright and sparkly, really maximalist and out there. And I couldn't really find anything that felt like me. And I just kept coming to the fact that like we solved this with glasses. Glasses used to be medical, and now you walk into Specsavers and you just have walls and walls and walls of options. You have to ask strangers like these ones or these ones. And not only is like buying it a comfortable experience, there's options around it. Like major fashion houses are designing glasses. You can wear a pair of Prada glasses. And we haven't had that same shift with mobility aids. And once I kind of saw that and experienced that, I couldn't quite get that out of my head. And then comes actual use of your mobility aid. And I had a bit of a crash course because got it, went straight onto a United flight and landed in New York. which was like the ultimate battle test for a walking stick. And there's so many very easy things we can do to fix these very, like, they're just such solvable problems.
Yeah.
Like the way that the handles are designed, we can make that more comfortable. The way that, you know, your wrist gets really sore when you've been using it for a couple of hours, we can make braces that don't look like medical equipment. And I think it's just one of those things that, like, the girls need to get onto this.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just had this realization that, like, no one's done this. There's a massive gap in the market. And I started kind of sense checking the idea with friends and family, and everyone's like, this is such a great idea. And it's that thing of, like, once you see the problem, you can't unsee the problem.
Yeah.
And mobility aids should be like glasses. There's something that fit into your outfit. You should have choice. You should have agency, because having a disability is not a choice. But you're choosing the tools.
Yeah.
You should have a choice there.
Yeah.
What do you think it would mean to people out there who are similar to you in that position where they could have something that just like off the shelf where there's hundreds of different options for them? What do you think it would mean for them in terms of their own self-worth and growth and importance and understanding of their own situations?
I would really love for Wayfarer to help people give them a shortcut through that, like, acceptance phase, and getting used to using anything new is challenging, but especially when there's so many innovation gaps. I want it to be a little bit more seamless, give people a little bit more dignity.
Yeah.
And I guess, like, your clothing and what you wear is so much a part of how you express yourself. There are a lot of disability businesses that they build like really bright, loud things, and it's just, that's fine for those people who love it. And I've had people come up to me and being like, I love the idea, but I'd want a colourful one. And I'm like, oh, it's probably not the company for you. Or maybe it's coming, I don't know. But I think that I want to give people options.
Yeah.
You should have options aside from looking like a nana, and there's always old people on the packet as well, which is like, with any product, you want to see yourself.
Yeah.
So I want to give people options and hopefully help them shortcut that initial, like, I mean, it's been a year and you guys will see me around here. Some days I'll use my cane, but it's got to be a really bad day because I hate using it.
Yeah.
I hate the looks that I get, because I'm not the person that I am when you speak to me. You've made up your mind you've assumed something about me before you've had a conversation because I have a mobility aid. That's really difficult.
Yeah. Good on you, first of all, for taking on that challenge. You're a young female who's leading 2 businesses, really. How do you split the time of working in the business, on the business, and also upskilling yourself? Because you're young, you've still got a lot of growth. How do you manage all that?
That's an excellent question. I feel like I'm still learning to manage that. Building Wayfarer has been a little bit of a shock to the system, because it's stepping into, like, I thought I had a handle on the healthcare space and the science space because that's where I was going when I studied at uni. But going to events and speaking to people and realising just how much I don't know has been a little bit scary. My main thing, and this goes across Milkshake as well, is that self-development has become an absolute, it's not optional. Like, I've noticed when I stop or, sideline learning and growing myself as a marketer, as a brand builder, I notice the work starts to plateau. Mm-hmm. And then I'll go to a workshop or I'll go learn something. I'll go to a conference, and all of a sudden I come out with all these amazing ideas for my businesses, for my clients' businesses. And that feeling is like, it's a great feeling, but it's important. So structuring time around it, I book it in like months in advance. Yep. If I know there's a conference, I'm booking it in. I'm telling my clients, I'm making sure I give myself like a day afterwards to consolidate my notes and write stuff down. Same with any kind of workshops or anything like the lunch and learns you guys have here. Yep. Just locking it in and making it a non-negotiable.
Do you have a mentor that you work with or bounce ideas off, or
get their experience from to help you day to day?
I do. She's absolutely fabulous and just like the best person ever. I'm very conscious, especially when you're young. People will constantly, everyone's got thoughts and opinions and everyone's got advice, but I've had to get really good at not taking advice from people who haven't been where I want to go. So I sought out a mentor who's, her name's Georgia Rickard. She's incredibly like with it. She gets it. She's run an agency, and she's given me so much in terms of that self-development. Like even our one-on-ones, they're locked in. She doesn't let me out of them.
Yeah.
They are, she's just like a world of knowledge, and I think I know something pretty well. And then we go and have a chat and she's got a whole different perspective from like, decades of experience.
If you've had enough of dealing with printers, Wi-Fi, cleaning and equipment in your office, check out eClar, where your fully furnished office awaits. eClar takes out all the headaches, as well as providing free weekly events, including wine tasting, business talks, health and wellness sessions, and leadership development. Check out eclar.com for more.
Have you had to be, extra vulnerable sharing your story in terms of Wayfair and what it looks like moving forward?
Yeah, it's still uncomfortable because I'm actually a very private person. And even like it's only my very, very close friends that know like the nitty gritty and the detail and all that. People make a lot of assumptions about disability, and finding like a way to put my disability, quote unquote, on show for pictures, for, content, for just any sort of discussion, or even just expressing my limitations. Like I'll be at a conference standing and talking to someone and go, I'm really enjoying chatting to you, but I need to sit down.
Yeah.
Like, can we move this to sit down?
Yeah.
That's been uncomfortable, but I've actually worked with a really amazing, she's now a friend, but she's a confidence and communications coach. And she's just incredible at like teaching how to take control of the situations, express boundaries, but then also when it comes to sharing the story, how do we do that in a way that lets people connect, but doesn't become like a commiseration thing or a sob story.
Or diminish you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing I was been really uncomfortable with is someone called me inspirational the other day. And I was like, that's really icky. I understand why she said it, but I just wonder, like, if I didn't share what's wrong with my physical body and I was doing the same thing, would I still be inspirational?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
I think like you're young and you're like listening to you now, you've got such drive and passion for what you do. And a lot of people don't have that. Take the disability out for what you're doing purely from work at such a young age gives a lot of people listening and looking at you direction, and that they can do things from a young age, because sometimes you think you've got to be older to achieve things or to have your own company. Not a lot of people start their own company when they're young. So I think inspirational is a word that can be used.
Oh, thanks. It's a very uncomfortable thing to be called. And I kind of sat with it and I was like, I'm just a person solving a problem.
Yeah.
But thank you.
You'll get more comfortable with it as it goes on.
Yeah.
Just do it every day.
Yeah.
Right.
You'll walk past the office and just be like, you're an inspiration.
Yeah.
No, well done. What about skills or habits or traditions routines that you do every single day, or that you've learned over time really works for you and helps keep your mind clear, like you talk about conferences? Is there other things that you do or skills that you've developed that you lean on when there might be a plateau in work, or that you might be having a bad day and you are using your cane? Are there different things that you lean back on?
When it comes to Milkshake specifically, I think one of my superpowers is being an obsessive cataloger. So whenever I see a photo that's, the composition's really lovely, or branding that I love, or a snippet of copy that I think works really well, or a menu design that I love, I will swipe everything. And I have a database it's just a Notion database where I will religiously, once a week, go and put all of my creative references in, tag them with different things as to what they might be relevant for, which sounds really boring, but it means that whenever I start a client project, we're never working from zero.
Yeah.
We're always working from this like deep well of curated references and inspiration. And I do that with people as well. So I used to get really down on myself that I couldn't do everything perfectly in marketing because it's just so broad, and it's becoming broader. And pretty quickly I realized that, especially running my own business, that you absolutely cannot do everything.
Yeah.
So I've found my goal with people, I want to find people that make me say, why didn't I think of that? Why didn't I do that? I wish I could do that. I've kind of like made it my mission to find people, and I have same thing as I catalog creative references. I have a talent book.
Yeah.
It's just a list of people that I love. I love what they're doing. They're a photographer, they're a graphic designer, they're a web developer. I love what they're doing, what they specialize in, how to contact them, so that one day for any client project, we need a specific style, we need a specific, photographer, anything like that. I go to my talent book and I've just got, it's like a massive Rolodex of people. Bring back the Rolodex.
Yeah. What's one thing that surprised you most about starting your own business that you probably thought, oh, this will be easy? What's one thing that you've gone, that's taken me a bit more time, or I never knew that I really needed to know that to have a business?
Okay, two things: sales and numbers. And up until very recently, I hid behind the like really awful excuse, and like it's kind of inexcusable, of I'm just not a numbers person. I count on my fingers. Like I'm just not a numbers person, or I'm just a really bad salesperson. But I my fiance is my like partner in everything, which is amazing, and his forte is sales and numbers. So it's taken me a really long time to actually listen to him, but we recently brought him into the business in like a more formal capacity rather than just advice on the couch or consoling me when I'm crying about something or being overwhelmed. And he's like, being able to hand that over to someone who he has a vested interest, I absolutely trust him, it's a huge relief. But at the same time, he hasn't let me just go, I'm a bad salesperson or I'm a bad numbers person. He's
taught you.
He's taught me along the way. So he's looking after it, but I still have very, very good oversight. And the numbers thing is something I've been really scared about, especially with Wayfarer, speaking to potential investors, talking about shares and like company structure and holding companies and all this sort of stuff, where maybe 2 years ago I would have put my head in the sand. Now I'm like sitting in the meetings with my accountant, asking all the questions and being like, Brad, you're going to think I'm an idiot, but what does this mean? And just that I guess I'm more willing to look and sound like I don't know what I'm talking about, because when it comes to finance and sales, I actually don't.
Yeah.
What about the numbers? Do the numbers ever lie, or do the numbers ever tell you a story that you felt was different in your heart? So if you're looking from a marketing perspective, when there's a campaign going on, when you think it's going a certain way, but he tells you that, look, the numbers aren't stacking up with what you're telling me, and you've got to actually challenge each other's belief in what reality really is.
So when it comes to like the P&L of the business, he's got pretty much full ownership of that. But when it comes to like numbers, when we're talking about campaigns or, any piece of content or whatever for a client, I usually find that I've got my finger on the pulse. Like I'm pretty across what's happening in the world, what's affecting my clients' campaigns or marketing or whatever, and then having that reflected in the numbers. So I'm working with a client at the moment. We're selling a really high consideration product with zero brand awareness, launching at the same time where petrol's $3 a litre. It's going to take a little bit longer. We're going to see certain things. And I think for me, like going back to the self-development thing, if you're up to date on what's happening, what are the trends, how are people buying, what's changing, you like most of the time you're right when it comes to like gut feel versus what the numbers say.
What's one of the biggest things that frustrates you in the marketing industry? It can be so broad and there's lots of people that do marketing. What's one thing that frustrates you in the industry?
Oh my God, I've got so many things that frustrate me in the industry. I think it's unregulated. It's a lot of cowboys. There's a lot of people that just do marketing. Probably the most frustrating thing, aside from like other agencies and seeing crappy work go out and be charged, like charging the client an incredible amount of money for subpar work, which I think everyone feels across every industry. When brands don't fully understand how well you can leverage your brand as like a marketing asset. So it's not just, your brand is not just a set of logos and colors. It is a system of belief. It's a point of view. It's a reason why people stay loyal. There is a reason, a handbag is a handbag, but an Hermes bag is tens, hundreds of thousands of dollars. And a craftsperson on Etsy selling the same thing for a couple $100, there's a difference in how that's perceived. And like that question of how we interact with brands and why we interact with brands, what they say about us is endlessly fascinating to me. And there are a lot of brand strategy experts, but I think brand eludes a lot of businesses because they're like, yes, I know that Hermes sells expensive bags, but how do I do that? How do I leverage that? So what I really strive to do at Milkshake is if we're putting together strategy for a client or we have an idea or we want to sort of test something, there's a system and a way to lift it off the page and into the real world. The PDF deck is not the deliverable. The way the strategy lives in the world, the way the marketing team can apply it, the way the sales team can apply your brand world is the proof of how well your brand works.
A big thanks to the production team at This Is a Studio for producing this episode. They handle everything, the equipment, the technical expertise, and the editing, delivering you a complete, ready-to-upload episode in both audio and video. All you have to do is talk. Whether you're launching a podcast or leveling up your current one, they make it incredibly easy. If you need any support, have a chat to the team here at eClar or reach out to This Is a Studio. Feedback you've had from clients, feedback you've had maybe even before you started Milkshake. Have you ever had a moment where someone's giving you some really strong, potentially harsh, in-your-face type feedback that might have hurt or might have felt like it was coming from the wrong place, but when you reflect on it later on, it was something that really helped you?
I've been pretty lucky that people have been pretty nice to me. So I've never had particularly harsh feedback like that. The biggest piece of feedback to me came from the work. At the previous agency I was working at, I was leading the delivery of a really, really big strategy project for a very, very well-known Melbourne-based business that if I told you who they were, you'd say, oh, they desperately need that. And they paid the agency, $10,000, $20,000 for this amazing strategy work. The work was really strong. We had a really clear vision of what we were trying to do. And we handed over the deck. We presented it to their team. We gave them the training on how to use it. And within a couple months, they're doing the same thing. They've got clunky messaging. They're not showing up in the way that we've dictated that they should. Even basic things like, we gave them a list of words that you probably shouldn't use. Back to using them. And that, to me, was a huge failure. And the kind of agency attitude was like, well, they've paid us, let's move on, which just like that really irks me. I think when you're working in like a knowledge field and people can just pull a number out of the sky and decide that's how much this thing costs, if there's no real like tangible value, that's a failure. And so that kind of feeds into like my obsession with how do we bottle the recipe? We've come up with this amazing recipe. How do we bottle it? How do we give it to the sales team? How do we give it to the marketing team? How do we give it to the reception team? And they can live and breathe it and it permeates through not just online, but every single touch point. Huge pet peeve of mine, having I'll have clients come to me all the time saying, oh, we already had our brand strategy done. And it's a Google Doc that's been gathering digital dust. It's not open. Like, it's something that should be
Lived and breathed.
lived and breathed. It's on your desktop.
Yeah.
Like, I have clients that have put, like, they send me photos of sticky notes they've put on their desktop of, like, we are X, not Y. Just little things to guide their everyday comms.
Yeah.
Awesome. What about Wayfarer the next couple of years? How much can you tell us about where it's at? What does success look like in the next couple of years?
Yeah. So we're currently in development.
Yep.
And which has been really cool because I'm finally able to talk about it, because it's been a little idea in my head, kind of growing momentum for the last year. So we are in design and development at the moment. The main idea with the product is that it's a convertible cane to crutch system. So there's been lots of innovation in wheelchairs. People spend a lot of time in them. They're not perfect, but there's been more innovation there. Canes and crutches, not so much. So we're addressing those first. Also, I guess because I'm the focus group, so it's a little bit easier from a feedback perspective. So we're building this cane to crutch system. We're changing the handle design. I want to change the way, you know, when someone's using a pair of crutches and there's that like metallic click of that little pin in the like height adjuster. It drives me insane. It's the first thing that's getting fixed. It's such an easy fix. You just replace it with a rubber pin.
Yeah.
Such an easy fix. And the other feature I'm really excited about is the bracing system. It's going to look like jewelry, not a medical brace, because I love jewelry. I've already started working with a jewelry designer on it, which is really exciting. So we're hoping to have a prototype in the next like 6 to 12 months, depending. And then we will we'll go to market with that. We'll either be looking for investors or looking to crowdfund.
Yep.
I think we'll probably be looking at investors. And then manufacture and go from there. In terms of, I'm like super impatient, and while the design team is like working away and we're having meetings about this and all that, I am trying to start building the brand. So the ethos behind the brand is that you don't have to perform, you don't have to celebrate, you don't have to accept. Like, I'm never going to accept the fact that sometimes we go to a bar and there's no lift and I have to get like princess carried up the stairs. It's cute, but I'm never going to accept the fact that I went from a 5-day-a-week CrossFitter to struggling to take the dogs for a walk. That's not something I'm going to be like, yay, I accept that.
Yeah.
So I want Wayfarer to be this community for people that they think that disability is the least interesting thing about them, because I do. I've spent almost 30 years creating a personality that I think is pretty not bad. And I want it to be for people who they want to be seen for who they are, not the tools they use. They want a space that's not like toxically positive. So there doesn't have to be a learning from every bad thing. And I feel like a lot of disability-based brands have this notion of like, oh, you know, you found out that you're so resilient and you found out that you're so XYZ because you have a disability. It doesn't have to be a learning. Sometimes things can just be very crap shit, not good.
Tough.
Like,
yeah.
So I just want to have like a space for people to just be. You don't have to be positive. You don't have to be negative. You can be neutral about it. You can be upset about it. And I have this whole idea for a series of events, selfishly because I haven't found my people. Like, I'm yet to come across someone with a physical limiting, a limiting condition that I've really hit it off with. Oh, I found one. She's going to watch this. Like, what about me?
Yeah.
So I want to have these events where like it's not a commiseration circle, because lots of support groups fall into that. I went to one once, never again. I want it to be like an active, interesting, like, okay, this is the thing you're living with. How can we give you the tools to still live a like a rich, beautiful, juicy life with around what you have, not
Not defining it you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll do them here.
Absolutely.
very
We'd
love to host them.
accessible.
We'd
For
love
sure.
to host
It's a
them.
very accessible event space, which is
Good.
awesome.
No, we'd love to. And tell you what, you said the word inspiration is going to be something that sits uncomfortably with you, but you're on the way to changing a lot of people's lives, and
hope
it's
so.
amazing what you're doing. And I'm sure you've got a decent marketing agency that might be able to help you sell that product.
Yeah.
So,
Weird.
bring two and two together, put two and two together. So I can guarantee also you're in a lot of people's Rolodex right now, and you will be moving forward. So
Awesome. I
well
hope
done.
so.
Thanks very much for sharing your story, because we know it is one that it takes vulnerability for you to be able to share that with us and with everyone who's watching. So thanks for your time. Thanks for being a great part of the eClass community. Big thank you to everyone for joining us, and to This Is a Studio for all their support. They continually help us put together this podcast and do some great work. So make sure you look up This Is a Studio. This has been the Sounds of eClass. We look forward to having you on next time as well.